Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? It's your man Jay Kev here with my brother Leif Taylor, just having our regular conversation about all things health, wealth, relationships, happiness, and everything in between, from pop culture to just culture. So, Leif, how's things been going with you?
Things are going great, man. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I can't complain. Just another day in paradise, trying to collect my pebbles of positivity so I can hand them out on our during our talk. Um, yeah, man, just thinking about a few things. We're going to talk about the importance of self-reflection, contemplation, and just meditation in general. And I guess I don't know about you, but I'm earlier today, I was sitting down, I was kind of looking over some things. And when I was sitting down at one spot, it just came to to the forefront of my mind that, man, it seemed like it's been forever since I took a moment to kind of just look over some past events, think about some things, and kind of just come to some thoughts and understanding and discerning about some of the things that I do and why I do them, and then just thinking about society in general. And it just made me realize, how important it is that on a regular basis that we make the time to reflect and contemplate and self-reflect and even meditate about whatever it is we want to think about. Just taking some time just to think, and how important that is, and how beneficial that can be in a number of ways when it comes to us just living a healthy, happy, um, holistic life. And I was just thinking about some of the benefits that you get from them, just that you get from reflection and contemplating. Some things like you come to a deeper understanding about yourself and some of the things that you do. When you look at your actions, it becomes real clear on the difference between what you say is a priority, important to you, and that you hold in high regard, and those things that you actually do. That's what really exposes um, where your where your true convictions lie.
Yeah,
I often, I heard it said in many ways that your actions are a printout of your thoughts and your feelings, and then your actions, exposes or brings to manifestation of where your true convictions lie. And I just thought, it's really important to really think about that when it comes to living life on your own terms, by your design, as we often talk about, versus just living life according to the template that we're indoctrinated with, or that's been handed to us culturally or societally. So just thinking about, some of the benefits of self-reflection. Like I said, you come to understanding. It helps with decision making. It helps you make better decisions, so you don't keep repeating some of those mistakes. It helps you with your relationships. It helps you with as far as stress and anxiety. It helps you with getting better sleep. It helps you with self acceptance and having some compassion about yourself and not beating up on yourself. I know for some people that can be a really big issue. You might not think it's an issue, but I know for a lot of people, just beating up on themselves, it's some people torment themselves a little too much.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just having some self compassion and self acceptance, that can go a long way, and that can be one of the benefits when it comes to self reflection and contemplation and meditation. It helps you with facing some fears that you might have. It also helps you with big picture thinking. Um, as I was alluding to earlier, just for me personally, it seems like I'm always on the run, and you can lose the forest for the trees. You get focused on each individual task, or each individual obligation or responsibility that you may have in your life, and that can help you lose sight of some of the big picture things, or some of those overarching things that you would like to see happen or like in your life. So it can definitely help when it comes to just assessing your life and getting a bigger picture look about your life. It can help with understanding your purpose and potential. And that's one of the things that we often talk about a lot. And that, we often say that life through this plane of existence is limited. There's a set amount of time on it. And you want to do what you can when you can to be living in line with with your design, with some of the things that's innate in you as a person. And you want to spend you want to spend more time living out those things and than doing the things that you have to do just to get by. For many of us, there's things we just have to do in order to put food on the table and put food in our stomachs. But then there are things that's innate in us that is calling us to do things that is really satiating to the soul. So whenever you take the time to meditate, contemplate, self-reflect, that can be a benefit as far as understanding purpose and potential and some of the things that is so satisfying. Life is limited in this plane of existence, and you want to make sure that you spend a lot of time or some time doing things that is satisfying to you. Just think on that point alone, man, just thinking about some of the people that it seemed like, just people passing through every day. And It seems like those quote unquote big names, that really causes me to step back and say, oh, wait a minute. The time clock is always running and it's running out on people every day. So, self-reflection, contemplation, those things help bring to the forefront of what's important and what's less important, given that the time clock is running on all of us.
Yeah, for sure, man. So going back to, you were talking about just like when people die, it really, especially like famous people, because ironically, I was looking at, I was looking at an article and then it led me to a site and then I saw like the list is like, oh, this person died. And I was like, wow, because like you said, it just makes you think. And not only that, but just, how limited some people's lives are. I made a post yesterday, I guess the poet Mums. If you've ever seen, Oz or Def Poetry Jam, or he's been in some other things as well, then you'll recognize his face. I didn't know his name, but I recognized his poetry and him. And, he died and he was only like 38 years old. And
38?
Yeah. And so when you see, I think he was 38, but anyway, he was young. And there were some other people that I came across as well. And like you said, it just makes you reflect on your own life. It makes you reflect on your own time and, and what you're going to do with the time that you currently have. Yeah. So that's something that, that you should always take time out to really contemplate and just see if you have to rework something in your own life. My wife and I were talking earlier today, and we were talking last night as well about the same thing. Is just about, just really reflecting on, where we are currently, and then, the desires and the dreams and all of those kinds of things, and how we'll work to get to those goals. And, we were talking about some people that we know who are just miserable. Like, they express us that they're just like unhappy, right? And it's not that they're quote unquote unsuccessful in terms of what other people view as success. It's just that they're not happy. They basically relegated themselves in a role and they don't know how to get out of that.
Have they expressed that unhappiness?
Yeah, that's what I said. They literally told like my wife that they were unhappy, Yeah. And I've met plenty of people in that situation. And, where, just for some, it varies for different people why they are unhappy.
Right.
And so, but again, just reflecting upon those things, it makes you even contemplate your own happiness and your own state of life. And, are you doing the things that you desire to do? Because again, time is not guaranteed. And that's the sad reality of this life, is that you have no idea when your number will quote unquote be up.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just a matter of reflection of, you know, is the day that you're living uh, fruitful you know, is it a means to an end, or is it something that's purposeful, or something that you can look back on and just, you know, be happy about? And go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that's one of the that's another benefit of self-reflection and just thinking, contemplation is coming to the bringing it to your awareness that what, this ain't working out. I am unhappy,
Yeah.
and I got to figure out what it is and how to go from being unhappy most of the time to being at least
Content.
Yes, at least content for the most part. Yeah. So man.
And even with that, it again, you know, we've alluded to this quite a many a time, is defining what that is for you, defining what that happiness is for you, defining what that contentment is for you, and sometimes the things that you think will bring you contentment don't, because you acquire it or you achieve it or whatever, and you realize that, oh, I'm here and I'm still unsatisfied, right? And so one of the things that I do, we talked about this. Actually, I quit journaling for like a whole month because I purposely just stopped. I was like, I'm just gonna stop and just see if it changes anything. But I find myself still reflecting on the day,
But you've already built that muscle up.
Yeah. So again, because I usually come to a conclusion where it's like, okay, I'm done. Like I'll just stop anything that I do repetitively, like for an extremely long time. I'll just cold turkey quit it, just because. But again, one of the things that it has made me do, and I'll probably just start journaling again. I still reflect on my day. I still reflect on my life. I reflect on the moment, right? And it's not even something where I got to go through the chronicles of the month or anything like that. I just reflect on the present in terms of just being grateful, period, and just being happy and content, and realizing the things that do bring me joy as opposed to the things that, because I don't know, like I listen to people talk quite a bit. I think I talked about this last time. I really do. I pay close attention to what people say in terms of interviews, in terms of just their everyday speech, in terms of how they react to other people, how they interact with other people, and I look for the nuances of conversation as opposed to the overarching conversation as a whole. And in those nuances, you can find out a lot about people and what they care about. And sometimes you can hear their unhappiness and their pain and all of that kind of stuff if you pay close enough attention. And for me, it allows me to realize that the bag or whatever everybody's chasing nowadays, the language varies, right? But it's not satisfying them to the way that they thought it would.
Yeah.
And you see it reflected in various aspects of their life. They won't say it, and they may not even see it themselves. But it's like certain patterns that I've personally just recognized, and I write that stuff down and I talk about it, to different people. And I'm like, just in terms of, I reflect on the lives of other people, whether it be through books, interviews, whatever. And it helps me refine, like, regardless of what's being marketed, look at the reality, right? And focus on the reality versus the marketing. And it's very difficult to separate the two at times, because you'll get caught up in the marketing and you find yourself on the same treadmill, so to speak, or the same hamster wheel. And it's like, they got me again. So now you got to figure out how to get off the hamster wheel to get back to purpose.
And that's one of the benefits of self-reflection and contemplation, and just, spending that time to make sure that you do some thinking, is that you will get off track. In the world that we live in, with all of the messages that we are bombarded with on a regular basis. It's if you're a human being, you will get off track or you will get distracted. And one of the benefits of taking those pauses or those breaks and fine tuning your thinking to always be pushing you back to being aware. That's one of the benefits of it, given the world that we live in. So, just paying attention to the propaganda and realizing that the marketing is there. Just being aware of that alone helps keep you awake and keeps you aware versus just thinking, oh, I'm not being marketed to. They are presenting me with the reality.
But it's so subtle though, man. It really is. Because like I said, I've had quite a mini conversation this period because I talk to people quite a bit, and sometimes I don't know if I mentioned this on the last broadcast, but you remember the movie Catch Me If You Can? Did I bring that up last time?
No, I don't know if I brought it up.
Okay,
so before.
Yeah. So because I keep thinking about the fact how he was able to deceive everybody because he always mentioned the analogy of the Yankees. His dad told him, he said people are intimidated by the stripes. So in other words, when teams went to play the Yankees, they weren't playing the team that was in front of them. They were playing the legacy of the Yankees.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes we get caught up in the legacy of marketing. I'll just call it that, right? Because it can vary between whatever industries and all that. You get so caught up in the legacy that you don't pay attention to what's in front of you. And what I mean by that is, if you turn on the news at any given time, or if you look at, any finances, some companies are getting over on somebody in some kind of way. And the reason that tends to happen is because we get so caught up in the legacy of some of these companies or the names of celebrity or whatever, and we basically let our guard down and don't protect our best interest in those situations. And we find ourselves on the wrong end of whatever. And it's like, man.
Now, you're talking, and what's coming to mind right now is Derek Jackson. Just because I know these.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say who's that? Situation. I didn't even know his name until the past week.
I didn't either. But it's hard. It's hard to not know if you touch the internet in any respect. It's hard not to know.
Yep.
But you were talking about marketing and alluding to facade and what's presented versus the reality, and it just popped in my head of
And again, he's just one example of a million, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so prevalent. And again, I think about this stuff all the time. I don't know if the average person does or not. I don't know. I'm in my own head. I'm not in the head of somebody else. But I literally think about this stuff all the time in terms of, what's being marketed, how it's being marketed, how they're, making, certain nuances to get you to buy, to trigger, certain emotions. And that's not even on a store perspective. It's marketing in terms of working for companies. It's marketing in terms of doing business with companies.
In every aspect of society.
Yeah. And just all of those kinds of things. And I'm like, how easy it is to get duped by institutions, by, celebrity, by money, by, I don't know. There's just so many things. It's just
PR.
Yeah, all of that. And it's just like, there's so much noise in the world that, reflection helps you tune that out, right?
Yes.
Self-reflection helps you stop it and tune it out. Go ahead, bro.
It helps you tune that out and then fine tune, like you were talking about earlier, like you stopped journaling, but you've already built up that muscle of always honing in and focusing on those things that are important to you, which help you cut out the fluff in your life and keep you, aware and abreast to what's happening and what's going on around you. And if you do find yourself getting off track, then you're quick. It's easier and you're quicker to get back on track when it comes to keeping that fluff out of your life. You know, you brought up journaling, and is, you know, the simple practice of journaling helps accelerate the benefits of self-reflection by signaling your brain to pay closer attention to your questions and answers, as well as to any other observations and insights that you write down. And like you said, not only that, you become observant of other people, and you gain insight from other people's lives, which is a hack. You don't have as an individual don't have to experience, you know, all of life's experiences, but you can learn and observe and get insights and discerning from other people's lives and what they're saying, what they're doing, and some of the things that's going on in their life.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of books. That's the benefit of, and sometimes not even books, but like I said, just watching people when you can, because sometimes the view that you get is not a real view.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and that's why I said books, watching people, because sometimes the books are, you know, they're hacks in a sense as well. But again, just looking at all the visual cues, the verbal cues, the nonverbal cues that people give off, and when you start noticing, like, because again, for me, like I've been really just deep diving into, you know, animation and people that work in animation and all those kinds of things. Excuse me. And again, I just take note of the similarities between the people that are in places where you think you want to be, right? And pay attention to those conversations, and I ask those questions, and you know, I pay attention to the answers and how they answer and what answers they give, what answers they don't give, all of those things, and you know, just to get just the truth, get to the truth of the matter. Because you know, trust is a very fleeting thing nowadays, and I guess it's always been as long as men have been around. You know, just figuring out what's trustworthy versus what's not.
Yeah.
And so, you know, going back to the main topic of self-reflection, you know, and staying on task to make sure that you fulfilling your life's purpose, which you know, I always bring up community, the C word. You know, there's 4 C's. Community is the one I harp on a lot. Because again, that community can help bring you back into focus when you start veering off, and hopefully you have people in your community that care enough about you to tell you early enough before you go too far out. Because sometimes once you get too far out away from your main goal, it's a wrap.
You ain't nothing.
Yeah, you're not gonna listen to nobody. You know, until something disastrous happens. Yeah, exactly. Until something gives you a hard reset that you didn't intend for. So definitely have those people in your life to warn you early. You know, it's just I remember hearing a talk. You know, I think it was on Focus on the Family. They're talking about how people separate 1 degree at a time. But you know, when it's close, it's easy to see. But as it gets further out, that chasm grows and grows. And so you want to make sure that you cut that chasm off as quickly as possible in terms of staying on the path, because it's sometimes it's very difficult, and it seems so simple, but it's very difficult because of emotional attachments, because of psychological attachments, all these attachments that we have to the simplest things. And it's like, okay, if you don't like that job, quit and walk away. But it's as simple as that sounds, as simple as that actually is. It's very difficult because all of these other attachments that you entangled yourself in over time stop you from doing what you know you should do.
Yeah, that's funny you said that. I've been thinking about that for a while, on how simple life is, but at the same time it's complex. It's like it's a conundrum, I guess you could say, or it's just tricky.
Yep.
And they're like, this would be so simple, but why is it so hard?
Yeah, it's all the mental, because again, it's a buildup of everything, right? And that's the hard part about it. It's a buildup of messaging over time. Like, you know, we talk about it all the time because people don't understand how powerful it is. Like, I don't think people really comprehend how powerful messaging is, because you see it in everything. And once you start noticing it, it's like, why is this, the top, like for example, I mentioned getting the bag. Getting the bag just became part of the vocabulary within recent whatever, right? I guess the past year, 2020, maybe 2019. I don't know, but it's recent. It's not new. But when you hear people, and what I'm talking about, when you hear people talk about stuff in the past, they use noun terminology, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, he told me to get the bag. And I'm like, no, he didn't, because that term wasn't around then, right? But yeah. But again, you start seeing how the current culture affects your memory and your mind, and your view of the way you reflect the past as well. So you have to be very mindful of those kinds of things. And not only that, it's the same kind of mentalities that are just shifted and repackaged, right? On the one hand, you need to focus on community. However, when you start hearing terms like get the bag, I'm going to do this, it all becomes self-centered and selfish when you start listening to the surrounding terminology around those kinds of terms. And it's like, hold on, is it about community or is it about you? Right. And so you got to be very careful about messaging and how those things come across and how they're intended to conflict you and make you go against your better interests sometimes.
Yeah. I was thinking of something when you were talking. Yeah, that's important. Community is definitely important. And that's one of the benefits of reflection and self-reflection and meditation is that, like we've been saying, it makes you aware of the patterns and things that the cycles of things. When you were talking, I was thinking about I've been like going back through some of like I restarted going back through the Bible, and I do that periodically. And when I do it, I try to set my current understanding and some of the things, my current convictions. I don't just throw them off, but I kind of just set them to the side and be like, well, is there something new that I can find here? Or is there something where I'm off or whatever? So whenever I do, like, I've been going back through like the prophets and stuff, and it's just, it's as clear as day as that we as humanity keeps repeating some of the same patterns and cycles over and over. And it's real easy to see when you just kind of just think about it and look at where and try to make connections and meditate on it. And you can only come to some of those conclusions or understandings when you take the time to meditate and self-reflect and contemplate.
And again, that's the key thing is take the time, make the time, right? Like you said, I like take though, because the time is already there, but you have to literally take it and focus on doing it, because it's easy to get caught up in the next errand or the next to-do item or the next whatever, and you don't have the time to really take because you get yourself in it. Because I know for me, like, sometimes I take stuff slow on purpose now, right? I go real slow on a lot of things on purpose, so I don't get frantic, and because I'll start imposing deadlines out of nowhere on everything, and it's like, okay, get it done. Yeah, but doing that is like, again, I always have to self-regulate and pay attention, and even my wife, my wife is a regulator. She's like, you need to chill out, you need to take a break. Because I get so caught up in the done mentality that I don't even enjoy the process at times when I should be, right? And so, there are times and seasons for everything, but I try to stay mindful because I know how those things affect your health. I know how those things affect your psyche. I know how those imposed things don't really matter at times, right? We convince ourselves that sometimes these deadlines really matter. They don't. They really don't. Because I've thought about this. It was something I was rushing. It was a project I was rushing somebody on. I was like, okay, man, you need to hurry and get this done. Trying to move on. Blah blah blah. And then they did, and nothing happened after it was done because we had to wait. And I'm like, okay. And then it was just like egg on my face. And I had to apologize, like, man, my bad. I'm sitting up there, Craig, let's go. And it's like, where we going? It's like the destination is like so far. I'm like, it's like, I'm trying to sprint on marathon, right? And
at least you
prepared,
though.
Yeah, and so just those kinds of things. Just pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your motivations, because it's so easy to get off task and think that you're doing the right thing when all you are is just adding extra stress sometimes to situations, because you've lost control of your own purpose and your own mission. And so definitely just pay attention. Self-reflection can mean many things. It could be goal-based. It could just be attitude-based. It could be whatever, happiness-based. Whatever you reflect on and realize where you're off the mark.
So you're saying it's good to have a strong sense of urgency, but don't let that urgency get you all stressed out.
Sometimes the urgency don't even matter. It really doesn't.
Awareness to figure out, when it does matter, when it doesn't matter.
Like, okay, if somebody's having a stroke, then urgency matters.
Yeah, we need some urgency, right?
Yeah, but if it's like, honestly, most business stuff is not really urgent. It just isn't. We make it urgent, but it's really not. Like, I'm trying to think of the most urgent things that we stressed over and stuff throughout my life, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what did it matter? Like, seriously, it's like, unless it's a life or death situation, it doesn't really matter in terms of, and that's not to say that you don't work diligently and consistently,
right?
But sometimes these imposed deadlines are just garbage. They just really are.
Okay.
So that's my reflection on life and my philosophy.
You mentioned slow down, and like you said, sometimes you make it an intention to slow down.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that you can do that is by spending more time in nature. Nature by itself.
I need to do that because I do zero of that right now. It's getting warm, so I'll probably do more, but I hate cold weather. So I can come up with any excuse not to go outside.
Man.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I gotta be outside. I cannot. I've had plenty of opportunities, and I've had plenty of experiences working inside, and I've reflected, and I've figured out that I am not an inside person. I've had those desk jobs, I've had those inside jobs, and I just figured out real fast.
So I noticed for me that when I do get outside, I do love it. I do say that, but I can go without it. However, if I'm in a situation which is few and far in between where I can't go, then I want to go. So in other words, I like the freedom of the option. Right?
Yeah.
And when my options are taken, then I yearn for the opposite.
Gotcha.
Because I don't have an option. So, but like I said, I haven't had that kind of barrier, but yeah, I noticed that when I was stuck in some place, I hated it and I wanted to get out.
So you're a lover of liberty and freedom.
Oh yeah, period. I just am. And
okay, I see you.
Give me options or give me death.
Okay. Okay, I like that. The liberty lover.
Yeah, it's like, just options. Just
give me some options. That's all I need. Don't take my options. We all good.
Yeah, everything's gravy. But yeah, man. So, but definitely, just for everybody, just take the time to reflect. Just make sure. Again, life is short lived. We talk about this plane of existence all the time because we don't know what's on the other side. In terms of the details of it, we have
scientists are figuring it out though, little by little.
It's like, okay, you die and come back and then tell me, right? It's like, and like they can tell you by hypothesis and let somebody else go.
Mathematical equations and stuff.
Exactly. So my theory is this. All right, you first, bro. You first.
No, you first. You got somebody on the controls, man.
It's like, the probabilities that I'll make it are a lot lower than yours, so you go first. but yeah, man. So definitely just take time to reflect, take time to enjoy life. Life is very limited, and make sure you value the things that matter. Period.
Yeah, man. That's important in today's world. Got to do it. Yeah. I was going to comment on some things, but I'll let it go. I was thinking about the recent shooting in Colorado, and then
and the other one in Georgia.
Atlanta. Yeah. It's like, man, I was just trying to go get some beans, man, some cans of beans, and I'm dodging bullets, man. Dang.
Yeah, all of that stuff, man. Just because, like I said, life is very fleeting in many cases. I understand that it's a small percentage of the world, or a small percentage in terms of the totality of populace.
Right.
However, just knowing that those probabilities exist, it's scary in and of itself. So just pay attention. Another thing to reflect on is your environment, situational awareness, all of those kind of things. Definitely pay attention. My wife and I were talking about earlier. We were discussing some video she saw about a woman and how men harass women. For females, definitely pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to any given situation. And I know these things can happen like openly or wherever.
Yeah.
However, it's better for something to happen in the open than in a private setting to where you can't get away. So that's another aspect of situational awareness that I would advise people to pay attention to, because, so you just want to make sure that you stay safe, that you don't back yourself into a corner, so to speak, in places where you can't get away from, or places where you can't get out of, or you're not aware of what's going on. And that's it.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefit of self-reflection, reflecting, and contemplation. You see where you made some mistakes in the past, and then you can make some changes if needed or necessary.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Wrap it up.
Two Shaq guys and a mic, just having a conversation about self-reflection, the importance of contemplating and meditation in today's world. It's very important and essential when it comes to living a healthy, wealthy, connected, and purposeful life. So that's all we got.
So. Peace.
Peace out.